Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Harry Coghlan. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Nassau County Local Economic Assistance Corporation. On behalf of our chairman, members of the board, and staff, I welcome you today's meeting of the Board of Directors. Today is May 28th, 2020. The time is now 6:32 p.m. Before we convene the formal meeting of the Board of Directors, we are, however, going to conduct a meeting of the Finance Committee. There are 3 items to be taken up by the Finance Committee today. One is the approval of the minutes from a prior meeting. We have 2 resolutions in addition, one for a loan program and one for a grant and purchase donation program of personal protective equipment as a result of the COVID-19 crisis. We have 3 members on our Finance Committee, Mr. Lewis Warren, Ms. Amy Flores, and Mr. Tim Williams. Mr. Tim Williams is absent this evening. However, we still do have a quorum with Mr. Warren and Ms. Flores. At this point in time, I'd just like to quickly take a roll call. If you could just state present when I call your name. Member Warren?
Present.
Member Flores?
Present.
So as we move forward today, we do have a quorum. We are going to dispense with making motions in seconds. I would just ask if you're prepared to move forward with each of these items. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the prior Finance Committee meeting. Are there any objections from either of you with moving to a vote?
No objections, Harry.
No objections.
Okay, so at this point in time, are there any recommended changes, edits to the minutes from the prior meeting?
Not from Lewis Warren.
None from Amy Flores.
Okay, so we'll do a verbal vote to see if those minutes are approved. Member Warren, do you approve the minutes?
I approve.
Member Flores?
I approve.
The minutes are adopted. Thank you both. Next item on the agenda is to report into this committee on what we are terming as the Boost Nassau Small Business COVID-19 Recovery Loan Program. This is an exciting initiative. The corporation is going to invest $250,000 to capitalize a loan program that has been provisioned under the New York Forward Loan Fund that was put into law by Governor Cuomo on May 22nd, 2020. It comes with an attractive leverage ratio of 20-to-1. So whatever we put in, we can create a loan fund at 20 times that amount. Happy to be doing this in conjunction with the Office of Community Development of Nassau County, who is investing a like sum of $250,000. So the total $500,000 investment creates a $10 million loan fund that comes with certain eligibility requirements. Businesses with 20 or fewer employees, $3 million or less in gross revenue, with a preference for MWBs and like-kind organizations. The resolution you have before you on this program is to review and approve the provision of the $250,000 from this corporation. So before we move to the full board meeting, I just wanted to ask if this committee has any questions or comments on the loan program, members Flores and Warren. Hearing no comment, I will ask if either of you have any objection to moving to a vote.
No objections.
This is Amy Flores. No objections.
Okay, so we'll move now to a verbal vote. Member Warren?
I vote yes.
Member Flores?
Yep.
Please continue, Mr. Warren.
In favor of the resolutions.
Thank you. Member Flores?
I vote yes in favor.
Thank you. The resolution's adopted, and we will report into the full board when we open that board meeting. The next item is an equally exciting item. It is for the provision of personal protective equipment via donation from the corporation. This again is a joint effort between ourselves and the county. We will, as a corporation, be providing $100,000 of funding to be granting PPE. At this point is anticipated to 1,000 businesses. This package will include 1 contactless thermal digital thermometer, 5 face shields, 400 3-ply masks, 100 pairs of gloves, 1,800 wipes, and 2 gallons of sanitizer with a spray pump all bundled together. Great starter kit for businesses to start to reopen during this difficult crisis. The $400,000 that will be coming from the Office of Community Development, we will apply for a grant from them. That money is federal money coming through the HUD COVID-19 program. So we will be making a purchase of $500,000 worth of this PPE equipment. We expect we'll be able to serve 1,000 businesses. As outlined, we will be doing a full RFP because the majority of the funding is coming from the federal government and it requires an RFP. So with your approval of this resolution, the staff will then move towards drafting and issuing the RFP for later approval and funding. So at this point in time, I will just ask the members if there are any questions, members Warren, member Flores, with regard to this program.
No questions from Amy Flores.
No questions from Lewis Warren. Just wanted to make an observation and a comment, Harry. Want to salute you, Chairman Kessel, the entire IDA staff, standing up literally from the governor signing his legislation on the 22nd of this month, so less than a week ago, standing up both programs, the Boost Nassau loan program and the Boost Nassau PPE program, is just outstanding. Being able to touch and help over 1,000 small businesses in Nassau County is critical as we look to the phased reopening of Nassau County's economy, as we look to these small businesses retaining jobs and trying to get themselves back on their feet. So I'm fully supportive of this second resolution for the PPE program. I think the IDA has done a wonderful job of organizing and executing a program that will help directly small businesses in our county. So I salute you and the staff and Chairman Kessel on this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And as always, it's a team effort. I have to applaud our team, our board, our chairman, as well as the agencies and the administration on the county side that we've worked closely with on these programs. I do want to point out that I have provided you separately and also in the Dropbox for the full board, the financial impact. I've given you a cash flow projection for the corporation. At this point in time, there are no concerns after having made a donation of $250,000 to the loan program, a contribution of $100,000 into the PPE program. I see no concerns on this corporation's ability to function as a going concern from a financial perspective in the near future.
Yeah, no, Member Flores and I and myself, we have reviewed the financials and our cash forecast going from sort of mid-May projected forward through the next month, 45 days. And we can help Nassau County. We can do good here with both the $250,000 loan program and a $100,000 PPE program. We'll still have nearly $200,000 cash on hand mid-June, and with several pending deal closings, will be comfortably back up to over $350,000 in the near term. So I, as the chairman of the Finance Committee, with Member Flores, have spoken to you, Harry, spoken to Chairman Kessel. We think this is not only in this emergency situation in Nassau County, we think it's critical for both the IDA and NCLEAC to lean into how we can be helpful to our small businesses and be helpful to our county residents. This is a tough situation, but I'm fully supportive of us doing everything we can do to help the county and its businesses get back on its feet.
Thank you, Member Warren.
And just to add to that,
please.
we have, for NCLEAC, we have more than enough cash on hand to operate NCLEAC for the foreseeable future. And I am also in full support of helping businesses, not only with the boost with this, but also with making sure that they have the proper equipment through these starter kits to keep them safe and protective, not only for to keep them running as businesses, but also for their employees as well. So I'm also fully supportive.
Thank you, Member Flores. I want to point out that from an administration standpoint, the Boost Nassau website is now live. It is www.boostnassau.net. That is now live for facilitating loan applications, and by early next week, it will be live for facilitating registration for the PPE donated kits. At this point, unless there's any objections, we'll move forward with a vote.
Member Warren votes yes.
Member Flores?
Member Flores votes yes.
Thank you. That concludes the formal agenda items for the Finance Committee. Are there any objectives to adjourning the committee meeting?
We're supportive of adjourning.
So I just
No
need
objections.
a vote to adjourn the meeting. Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Ms. Flores?
I second, yes.
We are now adjourned on the committee meeting, and Mr. Chairman, I'll read the opening statements for the LEAC full board committee meeting, and then I will turn it over to you once I've read that statement. Good evening. My name is Harry Coughlin. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Nassau County Local Economic Assistance Corporation. On behalf of our chairman, members of the board, and staff, I welcome you to today's open meeting of the Board of Directors. Today is May 28th, 2020, and the time is now 6:43 p.m. Given the ongoing COVID-19 public health crisis and related executive orders issued by Governor Andrew Cuomo, this public meeting is being conducted using telephone conference and video conference. Participants have accessed this public meeting through a Zoom invitation on the Nassau County Local Economic Assistance Corporation's website at nassauleak.org, or by watching our live stream on our YouTube channel, which can be found at nassauida8live.org. If you are participating via Zoom, the agency encourages all interested parties to participate, and as such has reserved certain points in today's meeting for public comment. If you choose to make a comment, you will do so by selecting the raised hand button on your screen. If you are viewing this hearing on a computer, the raised hand button will appear on the bottom of your screen in the middle upon moving your cursor to that location. If you are viewing the hearing on a tablet, the raised hand button is at the top right corner of your screen. Once you select the raise hand button, you will have the opportunity to speak when your name is announced. Please note that this is a moderated Zoom meeting, and at times you may hear me speaking directly to our moderator, Catherine Fee. Please note that this hearing is being both live streamed and recorded. You can also view this hearing by going to our website at nassauleak.com. Go to the top of the screen, select Watch Meetings, and you can watch the live stream. Please also note that we have a stenographer attending this meeting. In addition to being recorded, the stenographer will be transcribing the hearing so we can add the transcript of this meeting to the public record. Interested parties may also submit written comments to the corporation, which will be included within the public meeting record. Written comments may be sent to the Nassau County Local Economic Assistance Corporation located at 1 West Street, 4th floor, Mineola, New York, 11501 to my attention, Harry Coughlin, Chief Executive Officer, or via email at info@nassauleak.org. Mr. Chairman, I now turn to you to commence the LEAC meeting.
Thank you, Harry, and thank you, Louis and Amy. Before we get to business, I'd like to take a roll call. I'll name, just say if you're here. Richard Kessel is here. Amy Flores.
Amy Flores is here.
Louis Warren.
Ms. Warren is here.
Anthony Simon.
Anthony Simon is here.
Oh my God, Anthony, you're looking good there. Chris Fusco.
Chris Fusco is here.
John Kamatis.
Is here.
And Tim Williams is not attending the meeting this evening. So we do have a quorum of 6 of us. I always do this just for the public who is expecting the IDA. This is a joint meeting. This is our local assistance corporation, and it consists of the same board and the same staff. It's different from the IDA. Following several actions that we are taking this evening, the LEAC board will adjourn, and we will shortly thereafter go instantly into the meeting of the IDA. And I appreciate your cooperation. I want to thank all of the board members for attending this evening. I just did get an email from someone, I won't say who it is, who wanted to know if we all live together because some of us have the same backgrounds. I noted that Chris Fusco does not. Now I see Anthony doesn't, and John never does, I know. So, but we're all in separate locations. And, you know, I just want to thank the board. This is, you know, a challenge to be doing meetings where we've got significant business remotely. And I'm hoping that our next LEAC and IDA board meetings will be at least partially, if not fully, in person in June. So I want to thank all the board members for that. I'll leave my report and to the IDA board meeting, which will start after this. First of all, is there a report from the Finance Committee? Louis, if you want to make a report to the full LEAC board?
Yes, Chairman Kessel. We just give me 1 second, please. So we met, our LEAC board met tonight, May 28th. We voted on 2 resolutions. The 2 resolutions, one is a Boost Nassau County grant program for small businesses. That program is for $250,000 authorized by the governor and his May 22nd resolution of this month. And we voted affirmatively. We approved that resolution. We also voted affirmatively for a Boost Nassau County PPE. That's the personal protective equipment program to support up to or about 1,000 Nassau County small businesses with PPE kits, and that we voted affirmatively to contribute $100,000 working in concert with other Nassau County agencies for a total of $350,000. Both of those resolutions passed, Chairman Kessel, tonight. We also did a review of the financial position of LEAC, and with in concert with the LEAC staff, Harry Coughlin, a CEO, and team, Member Flores and I feel very comfortable that LEAC is able to be supportive of both of these Boost Nassau County programs, loan program and PPE program, and we're supportive and affirmatively supportive of both of these programs. So that concludes, unless there was a question from the full LEAC board, that concludes our report out tonight.
Thank you, Louis. I appreciate that, and thank you, Amy, as well, for that report. So we'll take them separately, but we have 2 resolutions before the LEAC board. One is the local loan program, which is an expenditure of $250,000 from the LEAC fund, and the other is the PPE program to provide approximately 1,000 kits of PPE to about 1,000 small businesses in Nassau County. Let me just say a couple of things about both of them, then we can have other board questions or comments, and then vote on them separately. And I think it's, the IDA has always, LEAC, no one really knows what LEAC is. I learned that today. I've learned it for a long time. The IDA has always been seen primarily publicly as helping large corporations, giving tax benefits, exemptions for sales tax, and hasn't had an identification with small businesses. The fact is that the IDA, up until now, and I'll talk about this at the IDA meeting, has not permitted to help retail and small businesses, with several exceptions that frankly need to be stretched like a rubber band in order for us to do it. I will say that we started discussing with several of the board members and staff the county executive and her staff, how the IDA and/or LEAC could help assist small businesses, recognizing the devastating impact that COVID-19 and the pause order has had on small businesses in particular. That does not mean that some of our larger businesses and clients that we deal with aren't having similar challenges. But I think it's become apparent to the county executive and to us at the IDA and LEAC that small businesses are incredibly challenged right now, have gone over 2 months, in some instances 3 months, mostly without income. Some of the smaller businesses and restaurants that have done takeout and delivery, and I think they've done a heroic and great job, are not getting enough revenue. Small businesses have indicated to us that some of them may not be able to reopen, and many of them that can reopen are finding it difficult to be able to afford that, and in particular, to be able to obtain either the funds to reopen or the PPE in order to make their environment and their business safe and give their customers confidence that they can go in there and shop there safely. So over the last few months, we have had several meetings with our attorneys, and I thank Andrew and Tom Gary and Tom Glasscock and our staff about what we could do. And we've come up with 2 programs that I think will be an enormous boost for small business. And I like to see these programs as the beginning of a long-term commitment from LEAC and the IDA in helping the downtowns in Nassau County survive and thrive. That's so critically important. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate the work and support and efforts of Laura Curran, our county executive, and her staff, especially Evelyn Simmons, who's the deputy county executive for economic development. They have been fabulous. We have had numerous discussions as recently as this afternoon about how we can work together in a cooperative nature. And the programs that we developed tonight are partnerships between LEAC and the county, and as a way to provide services to our local businesses and downtowns. I also, want to commend John Kamatis. John is a businessman. He owns a great restaurant in Bethpage, Sweeney's. I go there once in a while. I take out, and I love the chicken dumplings over there, as John knows. And John has just been a great asset. He's given me a lot of advice about how to run this as a small business person, and I appreciate that. And I also commend Governor Cuomo for recognizing the importance of providing funds so small businesses can open again and be successful. I think that his New York Forward program, which we build on with our 2 programs, it was enormously important in doing this. And so I think he deserves a lot of credit as well. I don't have to go through the description. I think Harry did it well in terms of the local loan program, which will provide loans of up to $100,000 to Nassau County small businesses that qualify. I think that the PPE program, which I'm very excited about, will provide PPE to initially 1,000 programs. Laura Curran and I indicated today, this is a pilot program. If it works, if it's successful, and if we get a little more funding into LEAC and possibly some contributions from the IDA itself, once we distribute all of this, if it's successful, maybe we can continue the program and add to it going forward. The one thing I will tell you, and Laura Curran said this today at the announcement, that the most important thing that small businesses are asking, other than when can I reopen, is I need PPE. I can't get it. I can't afford it. It's a huge matter for these small businesses. And I think that for LEAC to join with the county through its COVID-19 CDBG funds to provide PPE to these small businesses is so critically important and helpful. And I'll conclude by just indicating, importantly, how impactful and helpful Harry in particular and our staff has been on this. You know, these are great concepts, and you know, you can think of a lot of concepts and sit in a room and discuss them and debate them, but ultimately you have to implement the concepts. And what amazes me, and I hope Harry doesn't mind me saying this, what amazes me is, you know, sometimes we'll come up with ideas and you know, a day later I'll get a memo, we do this, here's how we do that. It's incredible. And just the whole IDA staff and their performance under these circumstances where, you know, with a couple of rare exceptions, we can't work together physically to put these programs together. It just did an extraordinary job. So you know, I said this before the meeting to a couple of the board members. I really want to thank, and this is a personal thank you as well as a professional one, Harry, and our entire staff for the extraordinary job that they are doing in putting these programs together. And I will guarantee you, these are not the last programs we're going to do. I've got some other ideas. County Executive and I discussed several things today. And I think this is the beginning of what we can do to help businesses throughout the county, small, medium, and large. So I fully support this. I thank all of the board members. I have communicated these programs in advance with you each individually. I appreciate the calls, texts, emails, and feedback that you've all given me. And I'm thrilled that we can move forward in these programs tonight so that they can begin to be implemented very quickly. With that, I'd ask if any board members have any comments or questions about, I guess we can do about either the loan or the PPE program.
Chairman, I'd like to say something, please.
Yes, John.
First of all, I got to say I'm pretty proud about our board. We take a lot of hits sometimes on big businesses, small businesses coming in, and people don't realize what we're about. We're a bipartisan committee. We are a government committee, and probably the first government committee that has taken money because we went out and tried to get it. And our board should be proud for what we do. As a small business person, I'm telling you this. We are rewarded when we get paid as a small business. There's no guarantees in our salary. Our guarantees are how would you say, we're rewarded by how good we are as a business to the community. And that's how we get rewarded. We've been closed for 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 10 weeks actually coming out. And the issue we have is that if we closed our stores and couldn't make it, we understand that. We were closed for a reason. We were closed for a pandemic that was going to last 4 weeks. That pandemic is 10 weeks. Our PPP loans were made for 8 weeks. We're having a hard time. And I got to say this, I am glad to be an IDA member. I am glad to be with the board we're with. I'm glad for Harry and you, Mr. Kessel, please, because we are doing something that nobody else can do. They're restricted. And listen, towns are restricted on what they can spend. You have gone above and beyond with the board we have and the employees to do what we do. And I got to say something, even if we don't, some stores don't make it, to have the chance that somebody cares about what we do is what cares to us. We want to get up and going. We want to be rewarded for our services. And until we can open up, we cannot be rewarded. And that's the difference between having a union having business and banking people on our board, we all agree and we get together and understand our differences and how we can help our community. And I thank you all. Really, thank you.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that very much. Other board members?
Chairman Kessel, it's member Warren. I just wanted to echo what John has said. You know, we all appreciate as a Nassau County board focused on economic assistance, focused on job development. We understand how difficult this time is for our small businesses, and you know, our board members understand and appreciate this. Most businesses in Nassau County are small businesses, less than 10 employees, less than 15 employees. My sister has a business with 5 employees in the city. And as John laid out, you know, it's been this public health pandemic that shut these businesses down. So I'm encouraged tonight. I appreciate Chairman Kessel's comment that we're leaning into the market to do something that no one else is equipped to do now, the local communities, et cetera, but to deliver grants to small businesses and protective equipment for their employees, as Member Flores said earlier, and to help these businesses get back up doing what they do well, which is to provide their services and to be in business. So I'm super supportive of us doing everything we can do within our charter, taking advantage of programs that the state, Governor Cuomo has offered, and truly leaning in to be helpful. This county, this wonderful county, is not going to get back on its feet unless we support small businesses, support our labor, support our unions, and support all the folks in Nassau County who are looking in anticipation to getting back on their feet. Thank you, Chairman Kessel.
Thank you, Louis. Any other board members wish to comment?
I'd like to say one more thing, and I appreciate what you've said. County Executive today also said about small businesses, and I think we're the starting of getting things going. But sales tax is 40% of Nassau County's revenue. So the sooner we can get up and going, and thanks to the IDA, the sooner we can get everything going, because otherwise it's going to have a downfall effect on everybody that happens in Nassau County. So I think this is a great starting point for all of us, and I thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment? All right. So hearing none, I think we'll take these resolutions separately, starting with the loan program. And do I hear a motion to adopt the loan program resolution?
I'll make a motion.
All right, moved by Anthony Simon. Is there a second?
I second.
John Kamadas is a second. I will take a roll call. Richard Kessel, I vote yes. Amy Flores?
Amy Flores, I vote yes.
Anthony Simon?
Anthony Simon, I vote yes.
Louis Warren?
Louis Warren votes yes.
John Kamadas?
Yes.
Chris Fusco?
Chris Fusco, yes.
Thank you. Now to the grant application and purchase of PPE equipment. And just to clarify that this is $100,000 from LEAC and $400,000 from the county fund. And this resolution, amongst other things, will allow us to apply for that grant from the county and then put the $400,000 together with the $100,000. So we'll have $500,000 to purchase those kits for approximately 1,000 small businesses in Nassau County. I will move that that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, John Kamadas seconds. I will now take a roll call. Richard Kessel, I vote yes. Amy Flores?
Amy Flores, I vote yes.
Anthony Simon?
Anthony Simon, I vote yes.
Louis Warren?
Louis Warren, I vote yes.
Chris Fusco?
Chris Fusco, I vote yes.
And John Kamadas.
John Kamadas, yes.
Okay, so those two resolutions pass, and we can start working on implementing those. I'm hopeful that we can get the PPE program up on the website, which is boostnassau.net, early next week, and people can start applying. We will be working with the local chambers of commerce and others to promote both of these programs. So I thank the board for that. Then we have two other project resolutions that I'd like to get to. The first one is Meribah Society of Mary Incorporated, which I commonly call Kellenberg High School. We have both the secret and approving resolution. I wonder if, Andrew, you would just quickly take us through what the Kellenberg is seeking. If there is a representative of Kellenberg that wants to make several comments, they're welcome to do so. So Andrew, if you want to go through the
Absolutely. This is an application for bond financing in front of the corporation, and there are two resolutions on the table, a secret resolution as well as a bond approving resolution. And this is a new money project that relates to renovations and expansion projects on the campus of the organization. The bond amount, the maximum authorized bond amount is $10,200,000, and there was a presentation made to the members of the corporation at the preliminary approval level at the corporation's board meeting held just next to this board meeting. And I believe we have both the financial advisor and counsel of the applicant on the Zoom feed. So I hand it over to them in case they want to add something here.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is Peter Curry. I just wanted to add that this is approximately half of what the total project cost would be through the IDA. The institution is also going to be looking at other fundraising to undertake this project. We're in the process of getting budgets and everything together on it. So it's a pretty exciting project. As the institution knows, this is a tax-exempt bond financing in excess of $5 million. So it will be a prevailing wage project. And we're very excited to work with the agency, with the corporation, and get a final authorization, if you should so move, and proceed to a fairly rapid closing. We're working on the tax questionnaire right now, the Bond Council tax questionnaire. Hope to have that completed relatively quickly, satisfy Bond Council as to the project, and move to a closing.
Yeah, and this is Greg Licalzi from Roosevelt and Cross. Just wanted to make one comment that the transaction in front of you now has not changed from when we came to you for preliminary approval. So the transaction is the same and the request is the same for tax-exempt bonds being issued through Nassau County LEAC, as well as potentially having a mortgage recording tax exemption on the bonds as well.
The other thing I wanted to add is that I'm kind of jealous of those people who have the fake things behind them. Mine, somebody from my office put on, and it's actually a picture of South Bronx L after a Yankee game. I asked for something different. This is what I ended up with. But it was a good game. They won, so we're all good.
As a Yankee fan, I congratulate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are there any questions on behalf of the LEAC board members?
This is Amy Flores. This isn't a question, this is just more of a comment. I just wanted to say that I'm actually an alumni of Kellenberg Memorial High School. I graduated from there many years ago. And although I had no involvement in regards to the application process, I just wanted to make a comment that I have seen the great work that the school has done, and just having the opportunity to expand and renovate and have more opportunities for the students is something that I have seen firsthand. That building out programming and STEM programs for the student is something that has definitely been a valuable asset for the students there.
Thank you, Amy. Now I know why you're so smart. You went to Kellenberg. Any other board members have any comments or questions? All right, let me just indicate for the board, we did have a hearing yesterday, and in practice, I did reach out to Kavan Abrams, who is a legislator where Kellenberg is located in Kavan's district, left him a message, and also reached out to and texted back and forth with my good friend Supervisor Clavin in the town of Hempstead, let them know about this project and the hearing. No one participated in the hearing from the public, but it had been published and publicized as normal. I should also say I am not a graduate of Kellenberg. I did graduate from Calhoun High School in Merrick. Having said that, I was very privileged when I was head of the Consumer Protection Agency of the state to have a TV show at Telecare with Father Tom Hartman and his staff. I sang on that show, and it was a substantive show, and I had the opportunity with Father Hartman, may he rest in peace. He was a wonderful man and a great leader, to tour the campus and meet a lot of the students for a number of years. And I think Kellenberg is a wonderful institution, and I'm very proud that we can assist them in their modernization and growth. So that's a wonderful thing to do.
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
before we move to a vote, I just want to check if there is going to be any public comment on the project. So again, if anybody wants to make a public comment, they should select the raised hand icon, and we'll give it just a quick pause before we move to a vote. And if you'd like, you can entertain us all with one of your songs from the Telecare broadcast while we wait.
Well, Harry, you may not believe this, but I did sing Cara Mia by Jay and the Americans, and Father Tom politely told me to keep my day job.
Catherine Fee, do we have any raised hands?
No, sir.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, you can proceed with the vote.
Thanks, Harry. So we'll be voting on both the SEQA and approving resolutions. Do I hear a motion to adopt those two resolutions?
I'll make a motion, Chris Fusco, to adopt both resolutions.
Thank you, Chris. Is there a second?
I'll make a second motion. Amy Flores?
Flores, a graduate of Kellenberg, seconds it. That's great. I'll take a roll call vote for both resolutions together. Richard Kessel, I vote aye. Amy Flores?
Amy Flores, I vote aye.
John Kamadas? Oh, we lose John?
Sorry, John
back
Kamadas, aye. John Kamadas, aye.
Okay. See, I took you out of order. I'm taking people out of order. Chris Fusco.
Chris Fusco, I vote aye.
Anthony Simon.
Anthony Simon, aye.
Louis Warren.
Louis Warren votes aye.
Thank you. The resolutions pass. Now we have SCO Family of Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to hop off now. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, guys. Peter, good to see you.
Thank you.
Good. All right.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you very much. Have a
very
good
much.
evening.
Thank you.
Now we have
Mr. Chairman. Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, I see we're prepared to move right into SCO. We have, I see Stephen Mack and Melissa Bennett are ready to go.
Okay, Harry, thank you. So we have SCO Family of Services. Before I ask Andrew for a description and input from the applicants, These are two resolutions, a CEQA resolution and an approving resolution for SCO Family of Services, one of the largest, if not the largest, nonprofit social service organization in the state of New York. Andrew, if you'd like to describe the transaction, and then we can hear from the applicant. Andrew, you there?
I apologize, I was on mute. I'll start again. So similarly to the resolutions that the board just voted on, this is a package of a SECRA resolution and an approving bond resolution on behalf of and for the benefit of SCO Family of Services. This resolution authorizes tax-exempt and/or taxable bonds up to $15 million in maximum aggregate principal amount and any related mortgage recording tax exemptions. The board heard a presentation on this project previously at the preliminary approval level. We also conducted, and Chairman Kessel may speak more about that, a public hearing on this project yesterday. Also important to note on this project that this is one of 3 simultaneously to be issued bonds. The applicant here is also seeking bonds to be issued for projects in Suffolk County as well as in New York City by those municipalities' respective issuers.
Thank you, Andrew. From the applicant?
Yes, hi, good evening. I'm Stephen Mack. I'm the Executive Vice President and Chief Financial of Finance Administration and Chief Financial Officer at SCO. So say thank you for inviting us to this meeting again. The transaction, as you see before us, will allow us to restructure a portion of debt and allow us that any savings that we incur will allow us to operate our programs more efficiently, which is important for us as we are primarily funded by government sources. As it says in the first slide, not to reiterate everything, again, we are New York State's largest human services organization, and we do provide and service programs to about 60,000 individuals a year. So this transaction, if approved, will be very beneficial to us in allowing us to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Is there anyone else from the applicant that wants to? Steve, you're it?
Well, I have with me is our outside counsel and our advisor, if there are any questions, but just me from the company.
Okay. So is there anyone from the public that wishes to comment on this project? Catherine, we okay?
Yep, we're good. There is no one in the queue.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just one more point on this that I failed to mention, that unlike the project previously voted on, this one involves a mixture of refunding and new money components. That's
Thank
all.
you. Thank you, Andrew. Are there any questions or comments by any board members? Okay, seeing none, just a couple of comments from me. One, we did have a hearing yesterday about this project, and I did reach out and inform both the town of Oyster Bay and Delia DeRigi-Witten, who is a legislator representing where they're headquartered in Seacliff. Let them know about the hearing. No one participated in the hearing. No members of the public participated, at least. And I, just for the record, pointed out at the hearing, and I'll point out to our board, that I currently serve as chairman of the board of the EAC, which is a very large nonprofit, similar in a number of ways to what SCO does. I don't see any conflict in my ability to vote on this project, but I just want to put that out there for the record. I think, and I indicated this to Steve yesterday, SCO Family of Services is known throughout the state. They have extraordinary programs that help people, many of whom need help. And right now, they're needed certainly more than ever, and the ability to provide some extra funds ultimately to help their programs, I think, is a great thing for the LEAC board and LEAC to do. So I'm fully supportive of it. Are there any further comments? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adopt both the SECRA and approving resolutions?
Anthony Simon, I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Anthony. Is there a second?
Louis Warren, I'll make a second, Chairman Kessel.
Thank you, Louis. All right, I'm going to go back. I have to go in order now. I realize I don't want to surprise people. So Richard Kessel, I vote yes. Amy Flores?
Amy Flores, I vote yes.
Anthony Simon?
Anthony Simon, I vote yes.
Louis Warren?
Louis Warren, I vote yes.
Chris Fusco?
Chris Fusco, I vote yes.
And John Kamadas?
I vote yes, John Kamadas.
Thank you. So we have a unanimous 6-0 vote on that. Now that concludes the resolutions. We also have our minutes from our May 7th meeting. It's important to point out that the IDA and LEAC are having 2 meetings in the month of May. We then will go back to our normal schedule, hopefully in June. So we have the minutes from May 7th, 2020. First, is there a motion to adopt those minutes?
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes. Chris Fusco.
All right, Chris Fusco moves, Amy Flores seconds. Any comments, changes to the minutes? Hearing none. I'll do a voice vote on the minutes. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Now I want to go to our Chief Financial Officer report on LEAC's finances. Ann? Is Ann with us?
Ann, you are muted, Ann.
Ian, you're muted.
There you
I
go.
have to push the right button. Oh, I'm going to have to pull an Andrew and start from the beginning. Good evening, members. Chairman Kessel, Ann Lamort, Chief Financial Officer for LEAC. We reviewed the April financials at our last meeting on May 7th. And as the month of May is not quite complete yet, we will review the May financials at our next meeting on June 25th. I can report, though, that there are no material unexpected costs. I would also like to say that I'm in agreement with our director and the finance committee that LEAC has a solid cash position and is able to support the 2 programs, and happy to be a part of it. Does anyone have any questions?
Any questions on behalf of the LEAC board members? All right, thank you, Ann. We appreciate that. Is there any other business that any of the LEAC board members have on LEAC business? Hearing none, is there any member of the public? I didn't do this at the beginning. We don't usually do it, but is there any member of the public that would like to address the LEAC board on LEAC business?
No, Chairman, there is no one in the queue.
Thank you, Catherine. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn the LEAC board meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Anthony Simon moves. Is there a second?
Louis Warren makes a second.
Louis Warren makes a second on a voice vote. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we are adjourned. Now give us a couple of minutes so we can transition into our IDA board meeting.
Ladies and
Catherine?
gentlemen, this concludes this meeting of the Board of Directors of the Nassau County Local Economic Assistance Corporation. The time is now 7:26 p.m. We thank you for joining us tonight. Wish you a good evening. Mr. Chairman, we'll just make a quick changeover. I will read the opening statement for the IDA meeting, and then we can get started.
Thank you, Harry.
Okay. Catherine, we are ready to proceed.
You're on mute, Catherine.
Good evening. My name is Harry Coghlan. I am the Chief Executive Officer of the Nassau County Industrial Development Agency. On behalf of our chairman, members of the board, and staff, I welcome you to today's open meeting of the Board of Directors. Today is May 28th, 2020, and the time is now 7:27 p.m. Given the ongoing COVID-19 public health crisis and related executive orders issued by Governor Andrew Cuomo, this public meeting is being conducted using telephone conference and video conference. Participants have accessed this public meeting through a Zoom invitation on the Nassau County Industrial Development Agency's website at nassauida.org, or by watching our live stream on our YouTube channel, which can be found at nassauidalive.org. If you are participating via Zoom, the agency encourages all interested parties to participate and as such has reserved certain points in today's meeting for public comment. If you choose to make a comment, you will do so by selecting the raise hand button on your screen. If you are viewing this hearing on a computer, the raise hand button will appear on the bottom of your screen in the middle upon moving your cursor to that location. If you are viewing the hearing on a tablet, the raised hand button is at the top right corner of your screen. Once you select the raise hand button, you will have the opportunity to speak when your name is announced. Please note that this is a moderated Zoom meeting, and at times you may hear us speaking from moderator Catherine Fee, Chief Marketing Officer and Director of Business Development. Please note that this hearing is being both live streamed and recorded. You can also view this hearing by going to our website at nassauida.org. Go to the top of the screen, select Watch Meetings, and you can watch the live stream. Please also note that we have a stenographer attending this hearing. In addition to being recorded, stenographer will be transcribing the hearing so we can add the transcript of this meeting to the public record. Interested parties may also submit written comments to the agency, which will be included within the public meeting record. Written comments may be sent to the Nassau County Industrial Development Agency located at 1 West Street, 4th floor, Mineola, New York, 11501. To my attention, Harry Coghlan, Chief Executive Officer, or via email at info@nassauida.org. Mr. Chairman, I now turn to you to commence the meeting with the pledge.
Thank you, Harry. Before we do the pledge, can I just have a roll call of the IDA just for people who are tuning in or get somewhat confused? This is now the IDA board meeting as following the LEAC meeting. I will take a roll call. Richard Kessel, present. Amy Flores?
Amy Flores, present.
Louis Warren?
Louis Warren, present.
Anthony Simon?
Anthony Simon, present.
John Kamatis? John, I think you're on mute.
John Kamat is present.
Not mute, but mute. And Chris Fusco.
Chris Fusco, present.
All right, we have 6 members, so we have a quorum. With that, I'd like everyone to stand. And I'd ask Chris Fusco if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. Thank you.
My pleasure. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the
of the
United
United
States
States of America and to the
Republic
for which it
which
stands,
and
One nation.
one
One
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty and
liberty
justice
and
for
justice.
all.
Thank you. Before we proceed with business, as has been our tradition for the last couple of meetings, you know, obviously we're going through very difficult times right now. And although we are on the other side of the curve, thankfully, and have met the ability to enter into phase 1 because of the lessening of hospitalizations and deaths and positive cases. There are many people in Nassau County, on Long Island, in our state, and in the nation who have lost their lives. Sadly, many of them heroes who risk their lives to help others. And I'd like to ask the board for a moment of silence for all of those people who tragically lost their lives at this time. Thank you. And I also just want to say, offer a prayer for all the people that are still going through some very difficult challenges right now, many of whom are still sick or are recovering, some of whom are in hospitals still. As you move through things like this, people start to come out, and sometimes we forget those people. And I want to thank, all of the workers, the people who have been out there, people, and Anthony and I talk about all the time, his workers on the railroad, the transit systems, people working in the restaurants, supermarkets, of course, all of our healthcare workers and the great job that they do. We thank you, because if it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here today. And that's what makes this country a great country. And we thank you very much. And I certainly think, we say a prayer for everyone that they remain healthy, both physically and economically as we move forward. Thank you very much. I have a brief report. I gave most of my report at a LEAC meeting regarding the 2 programs that were announced today. I do want to report to the board some very good news that could become great news. For several months, the county executive created an economic advisory council and appointed me to be co-chair, along with my good friend, Stu Rabinowitz, who is the president of Hofstra University. And we have a very large group of people who have been meeting weekly to try and come up with strategies and ways to help businesses and to help the economic recovery. We meet virtually every Wednesday with the county executive and Evelyn Simmons. I'm very fortunate most Wednesdays to go in and sit with them. And we've discussed a lot of ideas, and a number of things are upcoming from that council that are going to be very helpful to the future of the county and the taxpayers of the county. One of the things that we have discussed at length, and I've discussed it with this board, in fact, I think made a presentation about it, is some of the frustration that the IDA is unable, with several narrow exceptions, to help retail and small businesses. In the past, they were, then it was restricted, and absent several of these exemptions, which are very difficult to meet, very controversial, and stretch the law like a rubber band, the IDA itself has been unable to assist in that. While we are glad that LEAC is able to do it, we have been advocating, both myself, County Executive Curran, and our Economic Advisory Council fellow members, the ability for the IDA to help small businesses. We have had a number of discussions with a number of state officials, in particular, State Senator Todd Kaminsky, my friend from Long Beach, and we have discussed various options. And I am pleased to report, surprisingly, that the state legislature yesterday, both Senate and Assembly, approved legislation that will enable IDAs around the state, including Nassau County, to help provide assistance to small businesses and retailers during this pandemic. The legislation was passed, and it will allow IDAs to assist both in giving grants and loans to small businesses with certain limitations on them. I mean, this is an extraordinary advancement. And while I don't want to take the full credit for Nassau County taking the lead, and I want to thank Ryan Silva and the statewide association for their assistance. Really, it was Nassau County through our county executive and our economic council and Todd Kaminsky who led the way to help get this passed in the legislature. And upon signing the bill, which I am encouraged and hope that my good friend, I used to work for him, Governor Cuomo, signs this, for a certain amount of time, IDAs, including Nassau, will be able to assist in the recovery. And I think that's an extraordinary tool in the toolbox to help us. You know, we focus primarily about leak. We'll continue to do that. But I discussed this with Harry today. I would like to ask a couple of our board members who would volunteer, but I'm going to volunteer John Kamatis, if he doesn't mind, to head this effort and ask another 1 or 2 board members to join with him to work with Harry and our legal team to understand the law and what we are able to do, and to come up with some options that the IDA may be able to implement as soon as our June meeting. This is not something that we want to wait on, because people need help now more than ever. And I think there's an extraordinary opportunity for us here to lead the way. I do want to point out that in our work and research, there are a number of IDAs in the state who have a lot of cash. And we're kind of in the middle. We don't have a lot of cash, but we have some that could be utilized in this direction. And, you know, we have a number of deals that are closing that will provide us with more. And so from the Nassau County perspective, I hope John will accept my invitation for him to lead this effort. And I'd ask if there are a couple of other board members who would like to join with John in beginning to work right away with Harry, Andrew, Tom Gary, and Tom Glasscock to understand what the law allows us to do, and to throw around some ideas as to what the IDA can do, how we can do it, who we can help, so that you can report to us at our June meeting, and maybe we can vote on several projects that we'd like to do while we're in the second or third phase of reopening. So are there a couple of board members who'd be interested in working? John, first of all, I hope you would accept this assignment. And I know you will. And I'd like to know if there are another board member or 2 that would like to do this as well.
You can add me, Chairman Kessel. I'll be glad to help.
Anthony, do we have one more?
Chairman Kessel, it's Lewis Warren. I would be honored to work with John and Anthony.
That's great. So I'm going to ask Harry if he would reach out to John, Lewis, and Anthony to set up a meeting, at least telephonically or Zoom, for early next week to get going on this. Andrew, I'd like you and Tom Glasscock and Tom Gary to work on this with them. And I'm hoping that I don't like rushing things, but I think the quicker we can get some ideas and recommendations, the quicker we can act and help businesses. And I'd ask that this group report back to the full board in June. And I thank you for that. And I do, again, I want to especially thank Todd Kaminsky. Todd and I have discussed this a number of occasions. He actually called me on Memorial Day and told me that this thing was moving. There were other legislators that were obviously involved, and I want to thank all of them. And I thank Todd for his leadership, and also our county executive, Laura Curran, who carried this message publicly to the committees that she serves on, to report back to the state. This is a great achievement and something that ultimately help a lot of businesses here in our county. With that, I will conclude my report and ask Harry Coughlin, our Chief Executive Officer, for his report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members. I'd like to start off by thanking and recognizing our staff who was with us tonight. Tonight we have with us our Chief Operating Officer, Danielle Oglesby, our Chief Marketing Officer and Director of Business Development, Catherine Fee, Chief Financial Officer, Ann Lamort, Administrative Director, Colleen Pereira, Compliance Assistant, Colleen Winter, and our Administrative Assistant, Nicole Gill. Everything that you've seen in the past weeks and this meeting and all these programs and preliminaries and final approvals, we couldn't do without them, particularly conducting a meeting as we have via Zoom conference. So I want to recognize them. I want to thank them for their continued focus and commitments during these times. As you can see from the agendas that we've had, business continues. We're holding our preliminary approvals, our final approvals, public hearings. So I don't have a formal activity report for you because you can see the benefit of the activity that we're doing now vis-a-vis our agendas. Really proud of what we've done with the 2 boost programs. And I just want to highlight that we do have a closing scheduled. Tomorrow we are scheduled to close the Limbrook apartment complex that is sometimes referred to as the former Capri Motel. It is the Terwilliger and Bartone project, and we will be closing that one tomorrow unless something has changed. So glad that we're starting to see closing activity commence again. So I thank you all for your continued support and look forward to working through the rest of tonight's agenda with you.
Thank you, Harry. Are there any, before I get to public comment, any comments that the board or questions that any of the board members have for either myself or Harry?
I'll if I have a chance to say something, I want to say, Mr. Kessel and Harry, thank you very much. I will take the position, but the position I am taking is not for myself, but for all the small businesses in our districts in Nassau County. And on top of that, the IDA its mission is to bring small business and big businesses to Long Island. However, we have to level the playing field right now, and to take care of our own people is our #1 mission right now. And I appreciate that Anthony and Louis will help us, but I know the rest of the board is going to help us too. And to take this on, I take this as a merit for us to help all those small businesses. We have to get it going. And today, before we say anything else, I know this might have to do, but we are in industry. We bring industry into Long Island. The county executive made a statement today, and one of the first things we have to start with is, I am asking that our IDA reach out to all the towns, hamlets, and the towns that are in a town that have no say in their town. The county executive made a statement today about going outside, being able to sit on a street, being able to eat. There's a lot of questions about what goes on. So what I would like to do before we even start here is to ask that we can get the word out to every town, every hamlet, every town that is in a town, how they can get going, because in our business right now, it is imperative that we started yesterday. We can't wait. It has to be now. And listen, what's going to help? The more sales tax and revenue. We are a team with everybody in Nassau County. We are a team on the IDA. Let's be a team with all these small businesses and bring them aboard. Let's go. And I'm a team player, and I thank the IDA, and I thank everybody else. Thank you. I'm all in. I'm all in.
Thank you, John. Anyone else on the board? Okay. Now we have public comment. In general, public comment. If anyone from the public wants to say anything, you push the raise your hand button. We'll recognize you. You have 3 minutes to speak, and you can speak on anything related to the IDA or the county and the business community. I'll ask Harry and Catherine if there's anyone that would like to speak from the public.
Chairman, there is no one in the queue.
Okay. So with that, we will move forward. We have one preliminary resolution DBD Realty Group, 1 Old Country Road. I know that's my friend Dan Deegan. So this, just for the public, this is a preliminary review. If we decide to move forward on a vote, it's to give the authorization to begin negotiations and the process of taking a look at this. There will ultimately be, if we decide to go forward, a public hearing and another board meeting to discuss this further. So with that, I'll hand it over to Dan, and we can move forward on this project proposal.
Thank you very much, Chairman Kessel and other members of the board. I also want to introduce the other 2 people that are on the screen, which are my clients from DBD Realty, Dr. Abiri, who is muted, now he's unmuted, and also his daughter, but also a principal DBD Realty, Deborah Abiri, who's there. And before I get into the presentation, I'll just mention that Dr. Abiri is actually a medical doctor, and Deborah's siblings are actually on the front line of the COVID fight in various medical institutions in the 5 boroughs right now. So they're also, deserve thanks, at least the siblings do anyway, for being on the front line of the fight. So, all right, the presentation today is regarding 1 Old Country Road. And I think most people are probably familiar with the building. It's a very prominent building, very highly visible. The Abiris recently bought the building. They are successful building owners. They have extensive track record of restoring buildings, of developing buildings, managing buildings. They have an excellent record for very large projects and getting things done. This is a challenge that's going to take every bit of their expertise and their resources to make this happen. And it's also going to take the IDA's assistance. The building itself, as I say, sits on 8 acres in Carl Place. It's a very large building, 300,000 square feet. It's 5 stories. It has multiple tenants in it, including 1-800-Flowers. The 1-800-Flowers sign right now is on top. As this board knows, they are going to be moving soon. Also supporting that building is a 150,000 square foot parking facility, which is a very large parking facility that's had a history. The property currently pays about $1.3 million in taxes. That number in the past has actually been higher because this building has been deteriorating. It's going in the wrong direction. This building badly needs an infusion of capital and needs some stabilization. The building itself was once a premier office building in Nassau County. It was built as a Class A office building and attracted only the best tenants. Over the last decades, and it really has been decades, there's been a history of economic and physical decline and blight. There's been revolving ownership. No one owner has been there for any significant amount of time. There's been bank foreclosures. Banks have appointed receivers. The building has been in a lot of trouble. The parking garage that I mentioned before was actually shut down by the town of North Hempstead at one point and declared unsafe, and still requires a lot more work. That obviously caused a very big disruption for the tenants that were there and also for the surrounding community. This is a building in crisis. I mean, currently 38% of the space is vacant inside. There's about 30 remaining tenants, and all of them are either short-term or month-to-month tenants, meaning that any one of them can pick up and go at any time. Once 1-800-Flowers moves out, the vacancy rate will shoot up to 66%. There's a tremendous lack of confidence in the building by the existing and prospective tenants. And this has been going on, as I say, for decades, but it's really come to a head just prior to the Abiris stepping in here with an eye towards trying to do something here. I'll show you some pictures. I think most people are familiar with the building. You just drive around, you can tell it's dated, it's tired. That theme continues on the inside. It needs a major boost and a major investment in order to not only bring it up to code and to make it usable, but also ideally to bring it up to a Class A status. The proposed project that we're talking about is a proposal to do a major renovation to restore the building to its former Class A status, an adaptive reuse project, if you will. The applicant is proposing to invest $13 million. This investment would include facade improvements, general systems repairs, modernization, upgrades to the HVAC and elevators, renovations of the lobbies and cafeteria, and other interior upgrades in order to bring this building back to where it once was decades ago and to make it once again a premier building. The renovations would include the parking garage, which while it's had some prior repair attempts at it, really needs another big infusion of money in order to just make it not only usable and up to code, but something that is actually attractive and an amenity for the building. Another challenge, which has really been highlighted just recently with the COVID crisis, has been that the buildings today, and especially a building like this, has to be seen as a healthy building. And a healthy building is a building that is designed and has features that accommodate, hygiene and social distancing, or being designed in a way that accommodates, what people are going to expect going forward. That includes touchless elevators, touchless bathrooms, motion activated lights, redesigning lobby areas and common areas to make sure that they're going to be up to modern standards. The building, which was, is set to be 66% vacant, was once a major employment hub in Nassau County. I mean, it had hundreds, if not thousands, over 1,000 jobs at one point. With these vacancies, obviously, it's way down. The concept here is that with the IDA's assistance, we can once again make this building a marquee facility in the county's central business district. I think just people who drive around Nassau County realize this is the central business district of Long Island, or the major shopping centers are over there, a lot of other office buildings, and this property sticks out like a sore thumb. And that's been a problem decades in the making. The plan is that a major renovation investment would attract high-paying quality tenants. Obviously, that works to the landlord's advantage if they can pull that up, but it also works to Nassau County's advantage. This is going to provide new space that is going to, be up to code and up to people's modern expectations, which it's not right now, which is going to ultimately lead to quality tenants. There very well may be a exodus of some sort, or a shifting from New York City, from people that are in the city to come out to Long Island, and there's hopefully going to be a demand going forward for a space out here. Long Island and Nassau County has to be ready for that with marquee space, and this building is an opportunity for the county. The renovation itself would create at least 50 much needed construction jobs. We are ready to go right away with those construction jobs. As I mentioned, the work that needs to be done, that is something that is desperately needed in these times. And, to have people going to work right away would be a very big boost. It's important to note that the applicant, we're not looking to reduce the current real property taxes. While they've been coming down on their own because of the deterioration of the building and the current condition, they're still very high. $1.3 million is a lot of benefit. But obviously, the school district gets the majority of that right now, and there are no school-age children. So this is part of the commercial base of the county and for the school district. What we're looking to do is to and this building is a unique building. It needs help more so than any other. There really is not a similarly situated building that's such high profile and in such bad condition. What we're looking for is a pilot that's going to help stabilize those taxes. Without the financial assistance, we cannot justify the level of investment that's necessary in order to bring this into a Class A status. The history has been that owners come in, they all of a sudden get confronted with the tremendous challenges that this building in particular has presented because of its age and condition. They end up defaulting on their mortgage and they walk away. We don't plan on defaulting on our mortgage. We don't plan on walking away, but there is an option always that if we cannot get the IDA's assistance, that we have to consider other options, such as, doing, having a continue in a marginalized situation, or, possibly flipping it to somebody else. That is not what we want to do. We want to have a plan with the IDA as a partner in order to bring this property into this century. It's really last century's building. We need to bring it into the 21st century with a tremendous investment. The assistance that we're requesting is sales tax exemption on the construction materials, a mortgage recording tax exemption for the renovation financing, and a tax stabilization pilot is what I could call it. We're looking for a 20-year pilot schedule, which would freeze the existing taxes for 10 years and then escalate those taxes at 1.81% thereafter. We believe that this is a unique situation because of the cycles of failure at this building that have really proved insurmountable by probably 6 or 7 prior owners. The Abiris and this applicant have the resources to make this a reality. They have the commitment. They started looking at this before the COVID virus crisis. We've had many discussions about what their plans are, and they are willing to stay the course and continue to this commitment if we can get the IDA's partnership on this project. With that being said, we'd be taking any questions that you guys might have.
Chairman Kessel, can I ask Dan a few questions?
Sure, Anthony.
Dan, obviously, you know where I'm going and the questions I'm going to be more concerned about now more than ever with local jobs. You've mentioned 50 construction jobs, but I didn't hear anything about local labor, which I'm sure you've already been on top of to talk to them about, getting in touch with building trades. Building trades and other labor organizations right now are obviously local residents are in pain as well with this COVID, as we keep mentioning it. And they're going to help stimulate the economy since they're local residents. So what is the plan for discussing labor in this whole build out? Or I know the building needs the work. You've just pretty much destroyed the building in your own words, saying how bad it was. So, while larger companies right now, we're concerned about these larger companies looking to cut heads and save their own bottom line, we'd like to see that the local residents here or the local labor or construction people here get the work or at least get a shot at it.
Yep. So towards that end, I know Matt Arasich, I believe, is not at the meeting tonight, but I did speak to him today, and we did had a good conversation. We talked a little bit about the project, and I assured him, and after speaking to the clients, that we have every intention that as we're looking to have this work done, that we're going to give the opportunity for the trades to be competitive on the project, and we're going to engage in communication to make sure that every opportunity is given and to work with them. I mean, it's financially challenging, but certainly every intention is to have local labor, and to the extent that we can facilitate that with communication with the trades in order to give them the opportunity to be competitive, we have every intent of doing so. And Matt Arasich, not speaking for him, but he seems satisfied with and happy with the discussion today.
Okay, as long as that communication, the last thing I want to see is outside people coming in, as we've had previously on other jobs, especially at this particular time, out of the state coming in when we need it staying here in Nassau County and Suffolk County or whatever we can do. So I know you want to fast track it, and it needs to be fast tracked, but let's not miss that beat because we've been doing so well. You yourself has been doing with your clients as well so well. So I'd like to stay the course more so now than ever before.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
Hey, Dan?
Are there other questions by the board?
Yeah, I have one, Dan. And I think it's a great project. And I actually think that Nassau County, we should take credit for where we live and how we are compared to the United States. And I think sometimes we have to take a chance and we have to talk to our lawyer here. But I think sometimes in some businesses that are empty, that we have to put it out there to the rest of the world, that we have availability for people to move to Long Island because we have the colleges, we have the skills for people to come and take these jobs if we can put them out there. Sometimes we have to vote on something that is a month or 2 or a year away. But I think as an IDA, sometimes, I don't know how we go about it, that we should have some of these businesses that are going south or we have space open, that we go out and attract people to come to Long Island. We can compete with anybody in the United States. And this is a new world we're going into. Today is today, and we should start. And what a better way that if it doesn't work for Dan and he brings a business out, there's a clawback maybe to what goes on, but he's taking a chance with his business, his guys, to come out and do something that's good for Long Island. And as long as it works with the unions and he brings employees to Long Island, we're going through a pandemic, it's a perfect situation for what we do. And that's what we're made to do right here. That's what I got to say.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Any other board members with comments or questions for Dan?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Chris Fusco.
Hey, Chris.
Dan, is there construction manager or general contractor in place yet?
I don't believe so. We've been, we've been dealing with, we're in the planning stage of determining what needs to be done to the building. We've identified some of the areas. I mean, it's mostly, as you heard, interior work, but also, some of the, the elevator work, garage work. So no, we have not, I don't know that there's going to be a general contractor per se. Although, the Berries could correct me on that if I'm wrong.
Well, who would organize the trades then, if there's no general contractor or construction manager in place?
Well, I believe the owner is going to be, letting the contracts directly for the various components as designed. I mean, it's a renovation project. It's not a new construction project. So there's definitely identified areas and that need to be, the construction has to be done
Right.
by particular, areas. I don't want to call them trades, but different businesses, the elevator, for instance, the facade. So, I did have a conversation with Matt Arasich, and, we said we were going to, make sure that he provides us with companies that are going to be available to do this type of work so that we can get them engaged in the process.
Okay, is there an architectural firm involved yet?
Deborah or Dr. Abiri, do you have?
Yes. Hi, Deborah Beery here. Thank you. Firstly, I would just like to say a lot of the trades, certain trades have not been finalized yet. We were moving along with this process. We have a project manager under DBD Realty that will be managing all the different trades because it's a multi-level project. But we do have an architect, James Gaddis from Long Island, who is working on this building. He had previously worked on the building before years ago from many different owners, and we brought him back on. He's familiar with the building and is working with us to bring it back up to speed.
Okay, and $13 million investment, how much of that is the renovation cost? Or is that the renovation cost?
That is the renovation cost.
That is the renovation.
All of that, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Are there any other comments or questions by board members? All right. Before we vote, just to amplify Chris and
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. Just one question to Dan. On the application, there is a certain employment commitment indicated that I understand that this is an adaptive reuse type project. After this stage, is it contemplated that the applicant would negotiate an additional job commitment based on filling up the building?
Yes, I would say so. And I know we've done that in other situations. Obviously, the job commitment that's in the application are the jobs that would be directly employed by the building itself. Obviously, this IDA would not get involved in this project in order to, facilitate those particular jobs. That's not enough. The real job, initiative here is to fill this space and attract companies into a Class A space so that, hopefully there'll be hundreds of employees there again. We would anticipate, while we're not going to be the direct hires, the direct employers of those people, certainly we would understand that there would be some level of commitment.
Great. And that assuming this resolution moves forward, then would be negotiated with the agency staff and reported back to the board at the final approval stage. Is that correct?
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
thank you. Are there any other questions or comments by board members? Just a couple of points. We did meet previously with Deborah and her dad when we were talking about 1 Old Country Road and the 1-800-Flowers situation. I've been in that building numerous times over the years, and it has continually deteriorated. I think John makes a good point that it could be a very attractive investment to lure people and companies that are operating in the city and in other places to set up operations or remote operations or satellite offices in Nassau County. And that is a great spot for it. That is an iconic building. It's been there for a long time. It's had its share of problems, and it's right in the central part of the county, adjacent to Mineola, our county's capital. And so seeing that building improved, I think would have a great public benefit. I do think it's going to be important, as Andrew just pointed out, to have a job commitment overall, with the notion that if those commitments aren't made and those tenants don't come, there would be some clawback agreement between the owners and the IDA. But, you know, I go to Mineola frequently, and the first thing that it catches my eye is that building. And it needs a lot of work. So if we can assist in that and protect the taxpayers at the same time by bringing in what ultimately would be additional tax revenues, I think that's something we should consider. I just also want to add, I have one question, Dan, and that is, I know we're not sure what schedule, but assuming that the IDA gives a final approval, do you expect construction to begin immediately thereafter? Is there a time lag in that? Do you know?
I mean, we still have to identify who the, the contractors doing the work, but we would want to, and there's still permitting that's being done and planning, but I mean, relatively soon, yes, almost immediately. I mean, there's no delay of funding or anything like that. It's more just getting the pieces, identifying the priorities of what has to be done. And it's probably going to be, it's going to be a multi-year renovation, probably 2 years to get, everything done that needs to get done. But, it would start right away.
All right. Well, and to build on Anthony Simon's point, Tim Williams, who couldn't be with us tonight, made this point, I think, at our last board meeting, and has made it to me. It'll be very important that local labor and the trades are heavily involved in the renovation of that building. And I think it's going to be important as you negotiate with staff, assuming we go forward with this, that you lay out a plan on timing, what you need to get done and when this work can be done. And the only reason I'm saying that is as we come out of the pause and into the various phases over the summer, it would be very attractive, I think, to myself and to the board if we knew that some of these construction jobs could start over the summer, because that would employ people who right now are out of work. And so I think it's going to be important as you meet and negotiate with our staff that there's a timeline in terms of what additional approvals you need, and when, based on that, you think you can get shovels into the building, I guess not in the ground, so that we can get some of our union trades and other workers from Nassau and Long Island to work over the summer. So that's going to be an important component to this.
Understood.
With that, is there anyone from the public that's listening that wishes to comment on this?
No, Chairman.
Okay, so we're asked you to vote for a preliminary inducement resolution to begin the process here. Do I hear a motion?
Chairman
Get the
Kessler,
motion.
I'll second John Kamudis's motion.
Okay, so John moves it, Louis Warren seconds it. All those in favor, I'll do a roll call vote this time. Richard Kessel, I vote aye. Amy Flores.
Amy Flores, I vote aye.
Anthony Simon.
Anthony Simon votes aye.
Louis Warren.
Louis Warren votes aye.
Chris Fusco,
Chris Fusco votes aye.
and John Kamadas.
John Kamadas votes aye.
Okay, so unanimously passes, and we thank you, Dan and Deborah, and I think I saw your dad.
Yes,
there.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you,
Very
guys.
good project. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We now have minutes. We need to approve the minutes from our May 7th meeting. First, do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion.
All right.
Second it.
Amy Flores seconded. Any changes or additions to those minutes? Hear none, on a voice vote. All those in favor of adopting the minutes indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, now we've got Ann Lamort, our Chief Financial Officer, with a report on the IDA's finances.
Thank you, Chairman Kessel. As the month is not finished for May yet, we're going to defer the May closing statement to our next board meeting in June. And then I can report that there's been no substantial or material changes or unexpected expenses for the month since our last meeting. That's about all. Nothing exciting.
All right. Are there any questions by board members to Ann? All right, hearing none. Is there any other business that any board member would like to bring up at this time? Okay. So
Chairman Kessel, Lewis Warren, I just want to, I've reflected on our conversations tonight, and I just want to, for the public record, make a note that this board cares deeply about labor, the building trades in Nassau County. We care deeply about the projects that we support. That you know, we are in an emergency economic situation, just given this pandemic. And to the extent, I want to encourage, I know our staff is fabulous, and they talk to developers, they talk to building owners, they talk to businesses about our firm support of our local Long Island labor, and that, you know, Nassau and Suffolk County labor and the building trades. And I just want to underscore that we have to be continue to be relentless about this topic in this pandemic. So I appreciate Anthony's, Chris's, John's comments tonight around that topic, but I think we just have to be as relentless as we can be as we go forward with the projects that we support, with giving opportunities to local Long Island, Nassau, and Suffolk labor, and to the trades. So just wanted to make that point, Chairman Kessel.
Thank you, Louis. Much appreciated. Any other comments or business from any of the board members?
I guess I'm going to speak again. I just want to thank you guys for helping the small businesses out today. Listen, no project's too small, no project's too big. We're together in this, bipartisan. This is a great group of guys that we have. The workers that work for us are great. We're going to do a great job, and we're equal with everybody going forward. So let's start going, and let's build Nassau County up. I'm game. Small businesses game. We just need support, and that's all we ask. And I thank you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else on the board? All right, hearing none, just to report that our next board meeting, and it will be obviously anticipate both a LEAC and an IDA board meeting, will be on Thursday, June 25th, starting at 6:30 in the evening. You know, I'm hopeful that we can figure out a way to do that board meeting in some form in person. I obviously don't know where we're all going to be 4 weeks from tonight. But I want to ask, Harry and our staff, and if we can kind of start thinking creatively about how we can accomplish that. It's great that we can do these Zoom virtual board meetings, but being together in person, there's nothing better than that. And so we're going to try to work on that. And I do want to indicate, without getting into details, I'm expecting several major projects to be dealt with at the June meeting. And we're going to have to be very creative about how we move those projects forward in the context of the pandemic, the need for social distancing, but also the need to be transparent and to make sure that the interested public has an opportunity to participate. So we'll get more details to you as we approach the June meeting. I hope that everyone who's listening, our board, our staff, stay healthy and safe. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Nobody wants to leave. I'll make a motion.
I'll second a motion.
I seconded it.
Anthony moves, Amy Flores second on a voice vote. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, we are adjourned. Have a great evening, and I'll be in touch. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, all. Stay safe.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Night, thank you.
Bye.